This is a TED Talk on sustainable development. Sustainable development is the kind of development that, while developing to meet our present needs and consumption, we should at the same time be aware that our future needs sources are not severely compromised to the point where we will not be able to provide for ourselves. The more common definition of sustainable development, quoted from the Brundtland Commission, says sustainable development is the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. This essentially means that coming up with strategies that will foster the kind of economic development that, while meeting today's society's needs, also make sure that environment where we harvest most of our primary resources remains somewhat intact, or the environment's capacity to heal itself is not exceeded. Society's needs are closely tied to the level of economic development currently taking place. This essentially means a robust economy with a large output as measured by the gross domestic product will ensure that society's needs are met. The challenge arises from the fact that economic development is tied to the use of the natural environment. So to produce goods for now and for future generations to also use the same environment, it requires a certain level of restraint to make sure that our present production does not damage the environment and thus rendering it useless for any future use. The primary challenge in sustainable development is from the corporate world, where the motive is profit maximization. Business managers will feel the costs involved in advancing the sustainable development idea far outweighs the benefits. Any form of action that might hurt their bottom line is met with a lot of resistance. This is evidenced by the firms reluctant to adopt standards that are developed for the sole purpose of protecting the environment. As of October 31, 2011, the United Nations has estimated the world population to be 7 billion. The world population is projected to continue to grow, and this means an increased demand of the environment resources to sustain or even yet improve the present standard of living. The environment can produce so much food on its own. Continued population growth has led to more intensive farming method, which depends on fertilizer to keep the soil suitable for food production. This intensive method threatens to overshoot the environment's ability to recover on its own. That is, the use of the resources far exceeds the environment's carrying capacity, the consequence of which is that the environment will never recover what was lost. The challenges of ensuring continued sustainability are further compounded by the fact that the whole earth functions as a system. Events taking place in very far away from Canada could have adverse effects on our local environment. An accident in a nuclear facility as far away as China could pose a threat to our local environment. Ocean currents can carry contaminations from faraway places and carry them to our coastlines and thus affect the well-being of communities who depend on saltwater fisheries for their livelihood. Therefore, for an appreciable level of sustainability to be maintained, a certain level of diplomacy is needed to ensure that other nations are in sync with Canada's need to protect its environment. In this regard, nations have made and drafted guidelines to govern the use of the natural environment, with the view to minimize the damage done to it. A perfect will be the Kyoto Protocol that seeks to reduce the emission of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Still, some countries have yet to ratify the agreed protocol. This brings question about whether sustainability could be achieved if our views about the need to change the environment are not the same. Sustainable development is a noble goal that seeks to advance the quality of human life for the present and the future. It's because of this that governments need to step up their effort in achieving sustainability. Partisan differences need to be put aside and collective effort realized to deal with issues that degrade the natural environment. Another way is to involve the public in decision-making processes, and the government needs to educate the nation and come up with ways of disseminating information to the public so as to get everyone involved in protecting the environment. Only our collective efforts can make a huge difference in carrying out development that advance our own way of life and not putting too much of a strain on our main source of livelihood, the environment.